Hey y'all, it's Moonlight Cowboy. So before the update, this was one of my more popular build tutorials, how to build into this part of the monorail elevator, or monorail elevator like item, or pre-existing structure. So since the update, I know that it's gotten a lot easier, but I still have to kind of make it complicated, right? So, backstory too, I wasn't planning on doing a tutorial about it, but then I went over to delete another build and I accidentally deleted one of my favorite builds. So I was like, well, now I've got to do this tutorial. It was like it was meant to be, right? And like after I got through the 7 stages of grief, I decided I was going to finally do a clock tower here, which was actually something I really wanted to do for quite a while. Well before the update. It's one of those few perfectly round places that you can actually build into, if not the only one that I know of like this, that of this size, that would make sense for a clock tower. So first things first, I'm placing my camp device here. Hopefully everybody can do that. If you struggle with that, let me know. Actually, don't let me know. I take that back. Please don't let me know. Okay. And the reason why I did it down there was so that way I can access underneath the structure a little bit, so I can place like generators and clip walls through and stuff. So anyways, what I'm doing now, before, if anybody watched the tutorial before, like the one before the update, I used to use the stairs post to try and adjust to make sure it's perfectly straight. Now I can just use a floor to do that, way easier, because I can adjust the floor. With the stairs post, you had to remove the whole thing and try again, and keep trying until you got it perfect, right? So now that I got my floors perfect, what I'm going to do is I'm adding a set of stairs to the edge of one of them, and I'm adding this floor over here. Now, that floor is to try and make sure that I have the height that I need. I can double click X, and then on my second click hold it, like click, and that second one I'm holding, and then I can then move them up or down with my joystick directly, right? And then so from here, I'm going to just measure to see, because I want the walls when they come in, I want them to like clip into the structure a little bit more, right? So I'm going to go down just a touch more. And hopefully this should be the level that I need it to be. Yep. So I can kind of tell now. See, it would clip into the structure a little bit. So I feel like that's good. Alright, so I did lose the footage of the part where I added the half wall to the stairs, because the last time I did a tutorial here, they were like, you missed 2 minutes and 7 seconds in, I don't know where to go forward. So you add either a half wall to those stairs, or you add like 3 half walls to the platform. So in the future, I do this for the other side, and I just make a couple of adjustments there. But I'll show you here in a minute how I did it for this side. So in the future, or you could do this too. So for those of you who are like, I don't know how to get to the next step, this is how I got to the next step. I basically made adjustments to the floor, and I went ahead and added my walls from there, and my roof platform, so to speak, right? So you can use walls to build up to then add your upper floors, and I'm using the upper floors instead of catwalks for the most part today. So yeah, in case anybody gets lost, it was almost like it was happening again. Like, no, I don't want to go through that again. I got so many comments like at 2 minutes and 7 seconds, Moon, I don't know what the next step is with the roofs, and I felt really bad. But at the same time, like I was like, man, I wish they would just like unite and read each other's comments, so I don't have to give the same answer 5 times. So anyhow, yeah, from here what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get it perfectly aligned, like where it's not going in or out of the other side. I'm going to jump back to that other wall here in a minute, how I got that in there. But I did jump around a little bit because I was missing that clip. So apologies for that, but then also like this way it answers all of the questions, right? And the other part I wanted to answer with that question, right, is this. So we know that it's perfectly centered, but the one thing I want to make sure that we're doing is you will have to pull in your floor platform into the structure a little bit more, meaning when I try and put these walls up, you're going to see it right now, what I'm talking about. I'm going to put this wall in. Oh, great. Yes, wall. It's going to go in. It's going to look amazing. Hooray, beer, right? But look, it's clipping outside of the ring. That's what we don't want to have happen. So just because it's perfectly straight going through the structure doesn't mean we don't need to pull that in a little bit, right? So you will have to make some like adjustments and be really careful to make sure you don't go crooked with it. But it's basically freehanding it a little bit to pull it in ever so slightly. As you can see, it's still popping out of the side. So what we're going to do yet again is we're going to pull it a little bit more. It's like the limbo bar. We're going to go a little lower, see if everybody can get under. And the goal is for everybody to get under, right? Okay, so let's see if that was enough, right? And I'm showing you this. I know, again, you're like, well, but Moon, what about that back wall, though? And I'm going to get there, I promise. We're going to go back. We're in the future right now. We're going to go back in time once I show you this part. Because again, missing a little bit of footage. But what I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that I can get those walls to clip in like that. See how you can kind of see them green when you place them, but they're not actually coming through. So now we're back to the present time. Woo! All right. And from here, what I did was I moved that floor even more inside because I wanted to flip those walls around because I wanted to use a wallpaper here. Okay. So all I'm doing is I'm adding my walls. And then we're going to hit a hiccup here in just a second when I'm trying to add more walls. Oh no, can't place the walls. But Moon, they told me that I would be able to free place everything and I could be a better builder than all of the elite builders like on day one. Well, they lied to you. So here's what we have to do to be able to place them. This is a little bit of trickery. Why can't you place the wall, right? It's because it says item not visible. So we're going to make the item visible to us. And the way to do that is to get into a spot where you can see that wall and see that connection. If you can do that, then you can place it. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a long platform. And notice I pulled those two tables out. That's because the ring is a curve. And also because I want a platform to be able to jump on so I can do this cooking station. And I'm going to place it spoon handle out from that little step. So A, it creates a step. B, it gets me closer to the edge of the ring on the inside. See? Spoon handle out. Okay. From here, I'm going to place this thing inside. And it might take a few tries, to get it to where you want it to be. Because the goal is for you to get it, again, to where you're in the line of sight of where you can place this wall. So now we're inside of the structure. I was able to get in, no problem. And look, see, I can see that wall now. And look, I can snap a wall to it. Now, in this case, I did snap a angled wall, and then I'm going to use the blue ridge set to change it to a different kind of wall eventually. But you don't have to. I did that at first because I just wanted to make sure it was going to go in on the first try and that I could actually do this. The other thing you can do too is when you break into the structure, like you can go down in this thing and then go around. It might take a couple of tries to do it, because if you jump too high, you'll pop up through the metal. Yay Bethesda, right? But rather than have to reposition myself over on the other side, I just kind of flew over here. I can see the edge of the wall, right? My character, it's like, what is that from Squid Games where, green light, red light? Like I can see that edge now. And so because I can see it, I'll be able to place the wall here, no problem. Again, you can do this with half walls too. It didn't have to be the angled wall. I made it a little harder on myself, but I also wanted to make sure I could get them in. But yeah, so now I got that first wall in. Yay. Okay. And in a moment, we're going to get the next set of walls in. So one thing I did glance over was that I did end up redoing the walls a little bit. I raised the middle one so that I put a half wall there, and I made it so that way I could make a little ring to make a clock tower. Now, I'm showing you guys how I did my clock tower. I don't assume that everybody's going to want to do a clock tower to get that ring directly in the middle, so I didn't really focus on that. But in reality, all I did was I clicked on that wall and I drug it up, like using my triggers to go up or down. And then I just built walls up or down around it. Now I want a double wall, right? So what we're going to do here to double wall is, notice I added a half floor. It could have been a full floor, but I just didn't want to use up all that space. And from here, I'm looking for the wall that I want to use. Normally I edit enough of that stuff out, but I didn't. Found said wall. Did I find said wall? Okay. There we go. And all I need to do is get this. I don't even have to break it with that wall set, but I will for this door. I'm going to have to do something special. See, I can't just snap that doorway in like I want. So rather, I'm just going to turn that into a doorway, and I should be able to just snap that into place. Cool beans. All right. Do people say cool beans anymore? I don't know. And then I get that wall in. Right? So this is me double walling. So you guys know, I'm double walling if you couldn't figure that out. So the next thing, I turn the one below it into a doorway, and I add my wall. So that's going to take care of my middle part of the walls. But because, as you saw from the first stage of this, in order to get my other walls in on the, on the corners there, I'm going to have to pull some trickery together, right? I'll probably have to go back into the structure and do the whole, the cooking station trick to get that in. Now, because I did this a little bit special, those walls on the side, they're like slightly different height, right? So no big deal. As long as you get the walls in, really the ultimate goal here, okay, let me rephrase. The ultimate goal here is just to make sure that the walls on all sides of this thing don't poke out, but also have no light gaps. If you can do that, don't worry about how you're raising or lowering the walls. As long as you can pull off that function, that's all you need to worry about. That said, I wanted to make things a little harder on myself, so therefore I did. But I was also doing a clock tower where I needed that ring to be dead center. So anyways, no walls poking out. That's the key. That's gonna really take away from the whole build if that happens. So if you notice here, I am just doing the same thing over onto the other side. There we go. Cool. And I'm gonna add my wall there too. Yahtzee. Notice I'm kind of doing it in fast mode now because I hope you see what I'm doing here. Okay, wasn't able to get that wall in. It's a full wall, so we're going to go ahead and add. See if we can add it that way. We know that it's a corner, so we know it's going to be a pain to do. So notice I just skipped ahead. I'm breaking this wall because it didn't want to play nice in the sandbox. Now you can see, so this is a good example, right? So I'm going to actually use a full half wall here, so you know that it's possible. I was making it harder on myself than I wanted to, or than I should have, rightfully, right? So, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to skip ahead and break that wall. And you can technically, if you struggle to use the cooking stove here, you can technically come in from underneath the structure. And that's just going to take a lot longer. So don't feel like, oh well, I can't do the cooking station, I got to give up on this build. You can just come in from under from underneath. There's a lot of gaps for you to be able to jump up into from underneath. I want it to be faster. I like to be fast. Lightning McQueen, right? So as you see here, I'm just turning that into a doorway. Bam. I'm going to turn that into a doorway or whatever, and I'm going to take care of that too. Obviously I didn't do it the right wall there, so I'm going to go back and do it again. And Yahtzee again. All right, so we have double walled the other side. Now I'm going to move my little cooking station area stuff out in a minute once I repair these walls. But yeah, I mean, it seems tedious because it is a little tedious, but it's not anything that like your just average to above average builder can't accomplish here. So realistically, the structure used to be like a 9.5 out of 10 to work with. Now it's like a 4. For the sake of the clock, I went ahead and just got this started too. There was no real magic here. Those pieces kind of slid together. The only thing that was a pain in the butt to really do here was the minute hand. The finished product, by the way, puts instead of it being at 12 o'clock, it puts at 6 o'clock because I ended up using the Neapolitan sign. But those little signs right there, those little buggers, man, yeah, no, I was not pleased because any kind of free placing I did just didn't align right. Well, any kind of like the basic free placing, I had to like do like total manual free placing for this. So this is how I ended up getting it to work. It was still a pain. They, to try and make one line that didn't have any separation, like. Anyways, this isn't rocket science. It's literally just it's tedious work to get the lines right on that minute hand. If you decide to make this a clock tower, if you're just deciding to make this like whatever, like a regular build, then don't worry about that, right? That's why I'm not spending a lot of time focusing on the clock tower portion of this. The other thing I did decide to do here, though, was on the outside. I did want to use, just because at the time I was considering using that wallpaper, so I did end up changing those into half walls. That was really easy to do. I just removed the outer wall, destroyed the doorway wall, and then added 2 half walls, because for that wallpaper at the time it made sense. But of course, once I decided it was a different wallpaper, I was going to change those walls out. But I left that in there because it's really easy if you want to do like double wall and then half wall with one side, full wall with another. It's not hard. It was just destroying one and then adding those walls. But yeah, the clock came out looking pretty good. So now we're back to the future. I did it. I got to say it. This is the part that we viewed before. We're going to start working on this side. And now it'll make a little bit more sense, right? So I'm doing this kind of in fast mode because we'd already kind of gone through a lot of this, what we needed to do here, right? So essentially, again, we are just pulling, we're getting that to the level we want it to be. And then we're going to move that in a little bit because we don't want the walls to poke out, right? That if you take anything away from what we're doing here, you don't want the walls to poke out. I think it's commonsensical, but that's dealer's choice on that. The other thing you'll notice too on this side, so because I'm only doing the clock tower on the actual clock face on the one side, I don't need to do like any kind of real weird wall things over here where like some walls are higher than others. Instead, all the walls on this side will all be the same height. It'll also help too because I want to make sure that I don't want to double wall this side. For budget purposes, I mean, I still have a lot of budget left to do, but I have a clock. I have to do an entire interior. I need to make a lift, and I need to make a little patio. So I'm being cognizant of that. And it never hurts to have extra budget at the end because then you can just use it up even more. Nobody loves miniature holiday lampposts more than I do, right? So again, I'm just trying to get it lined up to where those things don't show through anymore. We'll see what happens this time. I could have double walled this, looking back on things. I still had room in my budget. But anyways, that notwithstanding, I ended up just making it that much prettier. Okay, so we're running into the same situation as we did before with the walls not seeing them. So you know what that means, folks. We're going to probably need to go inside of the structure again here in a minute. But first, I'm just going to make sure that I might go in just a little, or I might go a little bit lower with it. So that way I make sure that they go in and they're not poking out and there's no light gaps. I also double check over here too, and I see that the floors are poking out. That's okay, because there's an easy solution, because the way that we're doing this right now, it's not perfect two squares on both sides, even though it is on the interior, and that's because we're bringing those walls in so they don't snap through, and we're only focusing on the circle. So, but we're going to have a patio. We want a landing spot, right? So one side, which will not be the clock side, will have a patio. So it doesn't matter if those floors stick through. If you didn't want to have a patio and you just wanted to have a middle piece, you could just free place those floors in a way where they overlap. So, as you see, it's a lot of positioning, making sure that I have my floors in the right spot, because that's just like before when I used to do do this with a stairs post. The positioning is key. The other thing I'm going to start doing here soon is I'm going to start making sure my floors are aligned, because once these walls are up, that's really the next step. But as you can see, I'm getting my walls. Let's try them. I'm deciding on a wall. Usually I edit this part out too, but I also think it humanizes me a little bit to show you that even somebody who's built getting close to 250 builds, still sometimes has to search for things, right? So at this time I thought I was going to use glass. I ended up not using glass for any of this build. First time I built here without using any of those glass half walls. But as you see, not able to get that middle part done, or that top, the top edges. I'm sorry, the middle part's easy. So we're just gonna have to walk or shame ourselves back inside here in a second, and we'll try and add those in. So from here, I removed that floor, the middle one, just so that way this thing didn't pop up and I couldn't access it. But again, dealer's choice here. If you want to go from underneath the structure, I think it's just way faster. As long as you get that one cooking station in place, you can reuse that little platform as many times as you want. See what I meant, by the way, right there? I was able to pop out of the top of the structure. I didn't do anything special to do that. You could just jump through it, so it's pretty easy. And then for some reason, of course, the bottom ones go in no problem. I didn't have to do any kind of magic to get into the bottom part of the structure with those walls. All right, so we have all of our walls in place for the exterior portion of the structure. Now, remember what I said, that the floors were popping out on the clock side? Obviously, that can't happen. And then also, I need a landing spot. So realistically, I'm not too worried about the floors poking out on the entrance side of the camp. So now it's just a matter of getting those floors in and checking them. Things, they can be a pain. Try and rotate them if you're struggling to get them into position. Now, I will eventually go too wide instead of, see how I have a big one in the middle and then on there's going to be a wing floor on each side. I only am doing this way right now because I plan on doing an insert of like a little structure in there, because I still want this to be a fully functioning house, air quotes, fully functioning, right? But in order to do that, I want space for a bathroom. And the bathroom will actually be the middle of the build. The kitchen will be on one side, I'll have a hallway on the other, the living room will be on the front, and then I'll have a loft bedroom, right? So in order to get that in there and make it perfect, I'm just going to go ahead and in a minute, I'm going to add those walls and I'm going to create that space, okay? First, I'm just making sure that everything, I like to double check that things are aligned. And then at this point, I'm also starting to look at the floors. And even though I'm going to be pulling some out because I don't need that many floors inside, I still want to make sure that like they're going to be, the grain of the wood is going to be facing the right direction, things like that. The other thing that you're seeing here too is that I'm creating more of a patio space, right? So what I did was I added these half floors on the outside. That way I could raise or lower them ever so slightly. And why am I doing this? Because I don't want to have a full floor length going out for my patio. I want like a more low profile patio. So in order to do that, I'm going to make sure that these things overlap with the floors that are on the inside. But I want them not to flicker. So I'm double checking right now. Notice I have that floor covering right there where, I can see the wood grain. I'm just making sure that it doesn't flicker, but it's also not showing any, where it's like a big step or looks all screwy, right? I want it to look like it's the same floor. So I took some extra care to make sure that the level of that floor was correct. But then also giving myself a half floor platform on the outside. Now again, I'm going to go the 2 floors on the front side right now, right? But then when I finally get to the back side, I'll end up showing you I'll do 3 floors temporarily for what we talked about for that bathroom. But see how I'm getting the grain looking? I'm making sure that patio's the right length for myself. And of course, if you don't care about the bathroom, you could just complete that part out. And you could probably have a cool camp without a bathroom. I'm one that it has to look like it makes sense. All right, so while we're here, we're going to go ahead and do like a cantilever support. So if you notice, I added that wall, and from there I could just do this cantilever support. Like that part is super easy, but I actually want it to merge into the floor a little bit more and go up. So to do that, I'm going to raise that wall up like so. And now, of course, the struggle is going to be real, right? It's not going to want to snap the roof to the bottom. It's not going to be as easy as the other one because, Moonlight Cowboy has to make everything hard on himself. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding catwalks. I could have done floors for this too. All I'm doing is I'm essentially adding a spot where this wall can be on the outside. So I could just add my roofs. And I raised up the wall again, just so that way that roof, when you make it that angled, it actually goes into the floor. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Let me get rid of that stuff. There we go. And the magic of this is, of course, these roofs will now snap through the structure, right? As long as we can see them. That stupid is not visible thing drives me absolutely out of my mind. So from here, I'm going to make sure when I angle it, it goes in the right direction, and it is not. So I've got to replace it again. Can't ever be easy. All right, and so now that I'm putting it on here, and I've kind of rotated it. See, that's more what I'm looking for is the wall or the roof kind of going into that angle. Like you see the line of that roof, you're not really seeing that floor line as much anymore. And they kind of just merge together. See what I'm talking about? Yeah, that looks much, much better. Okay, but we are going to have to go back inside the structure again. Back to the squirrels again. Back to the squirrels again. So when we're in here, what I'm doing is I'm dropping down now because I just put those supports in, right? But I need to get the fascia walls in, and notice I can't place them there. So rather, I have to take the walk of shame back inside of the structure again and try and place them from here. I was able to place that. believe it or not, from that angle. So now I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm going to do it in a way that you guys can actually see it. So yeah, see, I'm able to place it there. And then I could do the same from the other side too. I just that it's yeah, they're a pain to get in. You have to be inside, right? So um just again be patient with it. But yeah, now we've got our cantilever support and they're capped on both sides. All right. So then the cool thing about those particular walls, when you change the shape of them, they don't actually they flip that way. Normally when it's like the angled walls, they got like the points change, but they don't on that. It just flips it from one side to the other. So, like I said before, and I know I kind of said a lot leading up to this about this. Notice I used 3 floors in that part right there. That is because I am doing some double wall action. But again, can't be easy for me. So what I'm going to do here is I want that to be like an offset wall a little bit and create a little alcove for my couch. Because I know that's where my living room's going to be. And also that, makes the bathroom, it kind of brings down the shape of the bathroom a little bit, which is fine with me. Because I don't know if a bathroom should always be as big as the bedroom. I mean, sometimes that's cool, right? But I also think that it's important to have like a little bit of a unique shape to your build. Obviously, if you can't tell from like 99% of my videos. So what I'm doing here is I added catwalks and added the first wall, and I have to wait for this floor to go away. Who else, by the way? You could leave it in the comments. Who else hates when the walls break and then you have to wait before you can remove other items because you're waiting for the debris to leave? So what I did there is because I'm gonna do a double wall. Is I removed that catwalk, I destroyed that catwalk, and this is an old trick. We used to have to do this back before the update, and it looks like sometimes we still have to. So I destroyed that catwalk because once I placed that other catwalk, I could remove the corner catwalk, and now I'll be able to place my half wall or my full wall going the other way. Maybe. If the game isn't going to punish me for all of my trickery. And now I have my series of walls in place. That is going to be pretty much the last wall I think I'm going to need to place for this build. We still have to place some floors though. I want a floor up here. That'll be my bedroom loft area. Yay. And then what we'll do here in a minute, I'm making sure it's not poking out. It's good to check frequently. You don't want to get all the way through done with decorating and find out something's poking out. The other thing we're going to do here too, which I thought was kind of a cool little feature, is the clock is actually going to have a turning, gear for the minute and second hand. Obviously, it's just for show, but so I put that in, right? And then we'll end up covering that up because you're like, well, Moon, you're there, everybody's going to see that generator. No, they're not. No, they're not. I that is my commitment. In the meantime, right now, I'm just changing these walls into doorways. One will have a doorway, one won't, but right now for ease of access if I need to go in and out. So, notice I'm adding these floors. See that generator here? Because of the half walls on the other side, I can just snap a floor to one of those half walls. And then I'm doing that trick where you double press X or whatever you can do to make them go directly straight up or down. And I'm just lowering the floor platform. So the ceiling in this room will be a little lower. That's fine. When you see what I do in here with that bathroom, you probably already did if you watched the showcase video for this. It actually worked out really well that I did this, and I was able to hide some things too from other parts of my builds. Like I put in some fence posts for corners of beds, or things that would normally sink through and show. But yeah, I used two half floors. And I just kind of brought them together a little bit so that way you saw the beams. So this side, you would consider that done, but I noticed there's a beam missing from that one side. So instead what I do, because of my OCD, I bring that in like so, and then that way I have beams on all sides, and it looks intentional. Well, it is intentional, right? The other thing I do too, on the because on the outside you don't see those floors that I put in. They're actually much lower than this. Is I put another free place floor right here. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to match the thickness of the walls around it. Another cool trick that I did for this build, I told you I was going to help you with some decor ideas. Um, a lot of people have this fence. I think it's really cool, but the problem is when something is really cool, everybody uses it, and it always looks the same on every build. So I wanted to customize that. So I added these little billboards, the bulletin boards, excuse me, and it created some paneling, which you do see in these fences sometimes in real life, where they have some paneling that goes through them. So just an easy, quick thing. The other thing I did here too is I'm adding this roof panel. Now, I just added these floors. Why would I do that, Moon? Why would you do that? Because the underneath of those floors are hideous. So we're going to change that. So I'm moving that floor down, roof down. And notice, see, I want that nice, sweet looking underside of that floor or roof. I'm sorry. I don't know where my head's at today. All right. So now I'm just getting this thing into position. That looks ugly, but watch. If I just drag that up enough and get it into position, you're only going to see the underside of this thing. It's going to look pretty good, in my opinion. There we go. Look at how clean that looks. And because the walls that I chose, I think those are just the barn walls, maybe they match the floor, like the texture on the floor, the upper floors, which I think is really cool. The other thing I did too is I free placed a wall in here, and that was just because I used those half walls on the other side, and I wanted the wallpaper to not poke through the top. See what I did there? Pretty easy to do. Nothing fancy here. Yep, and see how my generator's covered. So, speaking of stairs posts, we have these. I'm merging these down a little bit. Why am I doing this, Moon? It's because I'm going to create stairs going up. So I used to have a really good stairs method. It's actually faster, but the way that I used to do this, the stairs or ladder, I guess is a better way to say it. The ladder that I used to be super easy. It's actually harder to do now since the update, and I'll show you why. So we're gonna get our little posts into place here, so I can create said ladder. Yep, that's about the right height for what I want. That's why I merged it down. It was too tall initially. And we're going to get that post here if I can ever grab it. Get that into position. Now from here, I have to, once this thing's in position, I have to destroy a lot of things. I have to destroy one of the posts. And I have to destroy these walls here in a minute. And it's because, I'll show you why. I don't want to spoil the fun. The next thing I'm doing is I'm adding this stack of tables. This is going to be what the height level of each rung of that ladder is going to be. So I can remove those top two. I got a little ambitious there. Okay. So we could do the first one here, no problem. The problem is getting past that wall level here in a minute. So yeah, as you see, I'm going to go ahead and destroy those posts. And now here's the way the trick works now. So I'm going to still snap it to this one. Before, when I would turn snapping off, it would just drop down, right? Now I have to manually lower each one to go down. Now, with using that double X and holding it at the end, that part's pretty easy to do once you get the hang of it. You know, PC builders, or Meta, probably, they could probably do this with a mouse wheel. But anyways, so like for the rest of us though, most of the people that play Fallout are actually between the two consoles. In my opinion, I don't know. There's somebody's gonna be like, well, actually, based on stats, it's actually 52% PC. I don't, whatever. A lot of us still need to use this trick. We don't have a mouse wheel that we can use. So as you see, I'm just doing the manual lowering, and then I'm just snapping and working my way down. So snap my next one in place. I said snap my next one in place. There we go. And then I can just go ahead and remove that one. See, that one stays in place. And I'm just going to do this a little bit faster. Notice I lowered it down, moving the next one in place, and I got one more to go. Yep. And then once they're done, if you notice any issues, you can always manually adjust it, right? Like, so that looks great, right? Like, oh, nothing's poking through. Moonlight, you're a genius. You never get anything wrong. Oh my god. Oh my god, the one side's poking through, right? So then I'm like, oh, I could just manually adjust that. Oh no, I can't. Like hell you can, Moonlight Cowboy. Not for this tutorial, not this day. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to spread these out a little bit more. I almost said something wildly inappropriate, by the way, because I was thinking about the legs of the ladder. I did not, because I'm still trying to be kid friendly. So anyways, what I'm doing is I'm moving those two posts. See what I did? And now I'm just manually moving these over, but they're still going to be in the same spot they need to be, and they're still going to be the same level they need to be. So I'm not super worried about it. No, even if that one was a little off because they're not going to be pixel perfect anymore, those posts hide it, right? And I'm just dragging it side to side. So that came out pretty easy. It's not super hard. You can do it manually too. That's just the way that I do it to make sure that they're all about the same. Now, I'm also going to do a conduit railing. I'm not the one who initially came up with this idea, but I definitely feel like I use it more than most people do. I really like using the conduits for things other than power, because they're really not needed for that anymore with the new generator systems and whatnot. By the way, that generator over there, I hide that with the bed, right? So you see that poking out, and you're probably like, man, you suck. You probably say that often anyway. But that notwithstanding, hey, something I do want to note too, like I do love using these conduits a lot. If you're seeing them too much in my builds, like you're like, there are some builders out there, and I don't want to call out names because I have high respect for those builders, but I can think of one specifically who I idolize and think that they're one of the best legendary builders we ever had. But every build that they have has a Cirrus post as like a feature wall or a feature of the build. Every time I see one and I notice them, I'm like, everywhere I go, I see the same post. So if I ever get that way, with like an item, please let me know. Say like, hey Moon, hey buddy, we got to tone it down. Let me know in my comments, please, and I'll try and avoid that. I did have to kind of free place maneuver some because they were poking out the other side of the wall a little bit, but that was not too hard. Yeah, that's pretty much all the decor advice I'm going to give you. And again, shout out to the mystery person who I just actually sang a song about. They were the person who truly inspired me to be a clean builder, and I emulated their build style for quite a while before I kind of went off into my own. You know who you are out there, and thank you for the inspiration. This is how it turned out, by the way. I think this build came out really nice. Of course, I think all of my builds come out really nice because I'm biased. They're my builds. If you liked it, feel free, model after this, do something else. Create your own space up here. You now have the tools to be able to build whatever it is that you want in that ring. I hope that you found this video to be inspiring or helpful or, at least watchable. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Y'all stay blessed, stay safe, and have a blessed day.